rolling? Yes, we are. Welcome back, guys, to the Tring Shoe Repair channel. As always, I'm Dan. Big welcome if you're new. And today's video is something I haven't done on the channel for a while. We've got a unit job. So we've got these classic Timberlands. Now, the catch is these are 30 years old, really ancient. And to be honest, they're in incredible condition for being that age, but we're going to restore them. They've got a lot of damage going on, but we're going to make them good as new. So keep watching, see what it's all about. Okay, so once again, big welcome back, guys. Hope you're all doing fine. So let's talk about the job and 2 points. So first being when the customer told me how old this boot was, this pair. Obviously I was surprised. His classic Timbos are in such good shape, but also it's going to make a good restoration video. Secondly, it just spurred me on to realize I haven't done a unit on the channel for a while. I know a lot of you guys enjoyed the last ones that I did. So let's talk about what we're going to do. So the sole is a composite sole and it's trashed. The midsole and RAN is a plastic full one-piece unit. So the first option we've got is to install a leather midsole, which is going to make it that much more comfortable, and then we're going to put a new full vibram sole on there, the vibram Rockier. The uppers unfortunately are stained and discolored. There's not a hell of a lot we can do with it, but we can certainly make it look better. It's Nubuck, so we do have the option to dye it if we want, and of course some nice fresh new laces. But that's enough waffling, let's get started. Okay guys, so first thing we're going to do is see how easily we can remove this old unit. So I'm just going to apply some heat gun to loosen up the factory glue. Freeze! Alright, let's have a look. Okay, off like butter, little heat pole there. All right, so I'll show you and talk to you about the original construction. So you can see you've got this internal support block. Now that's how they locate the unit in the factory. It also creates internal structural support, but we don't need that because the new vibram sole we're putting on has its own structural support and it's going to get in the way. So we're going to take that off with a belt sander and also roughen up the surface of this old plastic midsole so we've got a rough surface to stick the new leather midsole to. I always like to get a nice fresh band on the machine when we're scouring plastics. Just makes everything stick together better. Alright, so there's our old sole all prepped, level and rough. It being rough helps the glue just bond to the material better, let it grab onto all the little micro fissures. Now, because it's plastic, we need to prime it first so that the glue will take properly. So we've got the Renier yellow label Rehargle. It's not chloroform, I promise. And we're gonna brush it on. I've tried using a spoon, but I find brush works much better. And once this is on, we're gonna give it about 20 minutes to cure. A nice trick with this is to apply primer whilst the material is still hot or warm, and it is because we just sanded it. It makes it cure better. And then we can look at gluing our leather midsole on. Okay, right, if you just keep an eye on that for me, Ron. All right, my friends, so this is the leather midsole that we're putting in. Now, leather comes in thicknesses called irons. So this is a 4 iron. And just for reference, the midsole I normally use is a 2 irons. This is twice as thick, but I want it that way because I want this job to be nice, robust and chunky. Just so you know, a regular leather sole that we'll put on is typically a 5.5 iron. So it's thicker than this, nowhere near as thin as a regular midsole. I did say we might have some surprises with this job, and we have. So the insole is completely trashed, so we need to replace the insole, but also the footbed is trashed also. So we've got your primary heel base footbed and then the front portion which goes over the entire length. So it's an easy enough fix because the plastic midsole we've got here is glued directly to the upper. That's how the construction of this shoe is. And then the footbed is glued to the other side of the upper that wraps around. So we're just gonna be able to make a new footbed and then Blake stitch through the entire lot to pin it all together. Right, so I've got another piece of leather here for the new footbed, and what we're going to do is obviously just take an outline, but we can't with this because we're missing the front half of the footbed. So why don't we just use the old insole? Now, this is just a rough starter. Then what we have to do is just pop it inside the shoe, trim it as we go to make sure it's a perfect fit. So we'll see where we're at. Make sure he's right down there into the front of the shoe. Almost, it's a bit too long on the heel still here, but also it's poking out just a little bit too far there. And the problem with that is it will push the uppers out once the shoe's all back together. So more trimming. Okay, take 2. How does he go this time? Front, edge, back. Perfect. Treat myself to a new brush today, guys. All right, so now we've got some fresh glue. We can do the first gluing job of the video. Just a dab of glue on the inside. So this is on the inside of the uppers and the plastic footbed, and then our new footbed. So let's get sticky. And then once it's tacky, let the footbed meet the boot. Just really make sure everything's secured against the upper on the inside. And then before we squash everything together, obviously the meat and potatoes, the midsole. One little thing, guys, remember we're gluing onto plastic. The primer's dried, so it's good to go with the glue, but something that's a little guarantee that things are really gonna stick together nice and tight is to use hardener. A little trick I got from my friend Ash. So we're just gonna add a tiny bit of the hardener, mix it in with the glue. That's just gonna help it really bond with the plastic proper hard. And yes, if you're wondering, it is essential that you have it in a Nescafe mug. Wielding a hammer with intent. You know, let me share something with you guys. You know, I have my apron on most of the time, but of course when I'm doing these videos, I'm running the shop as well. And if I have lunch or if I pop out, I'll take my apron off. And then when I come back to start shooting again, I realize that I'm like, do I need to put my apron back on? Are people gonna be too freaked out that 1 minute I'm wearing it and next it's gone? But I digress. So here's our midsole all piping hot, ready to go on. To be honest, this sole's a lot bigger than it needs to be for this boot, but it is what it is. Oh, let's get him out of the way. This, guys, is my swan neck tripod when I need to film difficult angles. But anyway, there's where we're up to. So our midsole's on, I've put a channel in it ready for the stitching. So now we're gonna head out the back, hit the stitcher, and remember we've got to stitch through 3 layers, basically the midsole, the original plastic midsole, and the new footbed we've put in. So let's hit it. Let's go. I'm gonna take you with me, everyone, back to the stitcher. The poor old girl's actually been used as a coat hanger at the minute. We've actually got this cool jacket here that we stitched this patch on for a customer. Well, it's time for stitching now. It's handy to do before you do any stitching is to check that there's enough thread in the shuttle. And that should do just one of our boots, I reckon, so we better fill it up after we do the first one. This is hammering the stitching flat on the inside. All right, ladies and gents, here we go. So the foundation of our repair is done. We've got our new midsole on, the footbed in place, but now we're going to turn some attention to the uppers just before we get the rubber unit on. So of course these are really discolored, dirty and stained. So we're going to see what magic we can work with these poor old dogs. And the first thing we're going to do is use a suede block, or as I like to call, a magic square. Now it's going to take a lot of elbow grease and a bit of time, this job, I can tell. So I'm just going to pop a shoe tree in, just so we've got a nice solid surface to work against. And let's get to it. That'll do. Actually timed myself, guys. That was about 15 minutes, and to be honest, that's about as much as my soul can take. That was hard work, but how much better does it look already? But we're not done. We're going to give it a wash with some Saphir Omnidame. So Omnidame is our best suede shampoo. It's a detergent, so it comes in this nice Tassel glass bottle with a brush. I'm going to use a different one, and you can mix it up with water. So I've got a little dish of warm water here. Mix it up 50-50. Get your solution. Froth it up with your brush. So there we go. Once you've got your suds going, you can start washing your boots. Now, this is for suede and Nubuck, so for this situation it's perfect. It does obviously darken it straight away. That's just because it's wet. You then need to let it air dry for an hour or so. And this is just a really nice cleaner, the Saphir Omnidame. I love how you get to give them a good scrub with the suds and the brush. And of course, if you want to give it a go, you can get the Omnidame at our online shop, shringshoerepairs.com. I'll pop a link just up here if you want to get your hands on some of that. And of course, all the other products that we use in the videos. Okay, so let's let that air dry for a minute. Not a minute, an hour, and then we'll come back and see what she's looking like. Now the Omnidame also has conditioning properties, which I love, so that's going to work its magic over the hour as well. All right, it's been an hour, so let's check how our Timbos are getting on now they're dry. Here we are. It looks a hell of a lot better already, doesn't it? It's never going to be perfect because they're so old. There's still a few cracks here. The problem we've got now is I really like the way this looks now, this very light Nubuck colour. However, if we look, we can see over here, this is the tongue is discoloured, so the original we can see was a bit darker. Suits, that's fine though, because I want to condition the material because it's very dry, so I'm going to use some Saphir cream. You wouldn't normally put cream on Nubuck because it will stain it and darken it a little bit, but we want to darken it so we can get it back to original, so let's see how it goes. Now, same principle, this is extra dark because it's wet right away. We're gonna have to let it dry for an hour or so again, but you guys know I'm a huge fan of the Cream Universal anyway. It's got wonderful conditioning, hydrating properties. Alrighty, so there we go once again. Let it dry and see what it comes up with. So there we go, guys, everything's dry and soaked in, and I think these look beautiful right now. So let's start by getting the outsole on. We've got the vibram or vibram, however you want to say it, rockier in this nice honey color. So let's start with the home stretch of this repair. So obviously these outsoles are just cemented, so we're going to glue it up, but what I want to do is do 2 or even 3 layers of glue to make sure it really bonds nice and secure. Right, so that is the meat and potatoes of the repair done. Looking pretty swanky, and we've just got some finishing touches. So remember I said the insole was all disintegrated, so I've just made a new insole, 2 pieces of shoulder leather basically stitched together, because it was quite a thick insole that came out. Yep, that feels pretty decent. And of course, to finish off, we need some new 2-tone sapphire laces. Okay, so there we are, job done. Job done with our Timberlands, and I think they look fantastic. I'm pretty sure the customer's going to be thrilled. So let's talk about what we did. Leather midsole, vibram outsole, of course the footbed, reconditioning the uppers, and new laces. Now, I'll let you guys like to know the price of the jobs. Customer got these for a steal, $120. I didn't factor in the new footbed, and the uppers took a little longer than I thought. Probably should have been more like $160, but $120 this job. Anyway, that is the end of the video. Really glad you could join me, guys. Hit like if you made it all the way to the end. It really helps me with the channel. And don't forget to check out the online store, tringshoerepairs.com, if you need any shoe care products that we sell here in the shop. The next video I've got for you, I really wanted to upload this week, but I've got to save it till next week. But make sure to catch it. It's going to be a good one. And remember, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm putting out new content all the time. And if you're here already, hit the notifications bell so you are in the loop every time I upload something new. And remember, if you want to talk to us about a shoe repair job that you want doing, get in touch via the website tringshoerepairs.com, fill out the contact form, and we can talk about a job that you need doing. But for now, that's it. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for joining me again. Cheers.